in this world where everyone's talking about AI and performance in the context of CTV and advertising writ large, I think we as leaders need to really first center around what are the fundamental needs of the industry. I've been thinking a lot about going back to the fundamentals of, and bear with me, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, from those psych classes that some of us took back in school. And if you adapt that to sort of TV and measurement, and think about sort of the building blocks from basic needs up to the pinnacle of self-actualization, in our industry, AI can help us move up that pyramid, get the basic needs solved so much more easily and readily, and give us back more time, and in some cases more money, to pursue those higher order needs on the way to realizing our full potential as an industry. And so I'm really excited about agentic AI. EDO is trying to help people get faster to that outcome of the pinnacle by giving away ad intel, which we see as the base of the pyramid. This is the share of voice and share of spend type metrics that everyone must have to report up to their bosses about what we're doing and what our competitors are doing. But that's not the goal. That's just the baseline. The goal is, did we reach the right audience? Did we generate the right outcomes? And then ultimately, at that pinnacle, it's about optimization. It's about getting more of that engaged outcome with the right audience. And to get there faster, we are giving away the ad intel layer through our LLM-based interface called Chat EDO. And that, we think, accelerates the ability for people to get to that full potential.
So Kevin, to get to that right audience, there's so much discussion around the idea of convergence, CTV, retail media, and cross-channel planning. How should marketers think about TV's role in driving measurable results within all those options and choices?
TV is a very interesting medium. So many other mediums in today's marketing world are performance closed loop ecosystems, the walled gardens of search and social. TV has historically been seen as a brand medium, an upper funnel medium. But what we've revealed by watching the customer journey and seeing the behaviors that are triggered by exposure to TV, seeing the incremental lift in behaviors like people searching for the brand after seeing the ad, people going to the website, using the app, interacting with LLMs to talk about the brands that they just saw in an ad. Those behaviors show that TV is a brand and demand medium, and it is uniquely powerful in its ability to drive people through the customer journey, build higher loyalty with brands, and drive transactions as well.
So as streaming platforms, sports, and live moments, especially now, continue to be a big part of the conversation, what does your data show about how those environments drive consumer action?
Live sports and other live events are really the engine that drives this ecosystem. They have a uniquely powerful ability to bring together large, engaged audiences that care a lot about the action during the programming, and they care a lot about the ad breaks as well. And so what we see at EDO is on a per person basis, engagement with ads in live sports are significantly higher, those engagement rates, than with other types of programming. And that fundamentally, on a fair value basis, is why sports are so valuable to advertisers and to the media owners who are willing to pay pretty steep rates to the leagues and to the other event owners to have those media rights, because they're worth it. And when they're worth it, you can put live sports and live events at the center of bigger packages for sponsors and drive more total dollars into the ecosystem.
So Kevin, we're used to talking to you about data a lot, but wanted to get your thoughts on creativity for a little switch. And increasingly AI-driven creative is a big topic here. What are you seeing in the data that separates TV ads that actually drive consumer response within that creative AI-driven framework?
The possibilities of AI-driven creative are immense. And the first thing I'd say is AI is a very useful tool to creatives. We at EDO, and I personally feel fundamentally that the human will stay at the center of creativity. taste, and judgment are just unique human traits. But with these creative AI tools, you can produce much more creative options than you have in the past, much more readily. The idea that we need one or two perfect creatives for a campaign, we're really based on a scarcity mindset driven by high production costs. As those production costs come down, it is really the right strategy to produce many more creatives, many more options, and then let the data, the real-time data of what's moving people's hearts and minds and driving them to behavior in your customer funnel. You should let the data tell you which of those many creatives you've built, which ones are working in which parts of your campaign against which audiences, and maximize the impact from your creative plentitudes instead of scarcity.
So Kevin, I wanted to touch on the idea of outcome-based measurement again. And want to know, what does that look like for TV and what needs to happen next to make that more of a reality?
We fundamentally believe that mid-funnel behavioral outcomes are this really nice balance of upper and lower funnel. And they have this characteristic where 21st century consumer responds with their fingertips to ads across all types of advertising categories. And so you get this universal performance metric that also reflects brand loyalty and brand impact in a way that gives fair credit to the media owner and fair credit to the marketer, without either one of them having to bear too much risk of being held accountable for things outside their control.
Kevin, you recently introduced Chat EDO. I have a feeling this is an AI question, but I'll let you tell me. How does that change the way agencies and marketers access and use TV data?
A Chat EDO is fundamentally an LLM interface to democratize access to this massive database that we have accumulated over the last decade. The stats are staggering. We have 375 million ad airings in our linear database of ads, 2.6 million creatives. Those are the video files of 30-second or 15-second spots across tens of thousands of brands organized into this taxonomy of categories. In our dashboard, which is a very powerful but classic web-based dashboard, it can take minutes to longer than that to get all these deep pulls of data out. And usually it's the domain of a power user, often an agency team, a brand team, maybe a sell side team. And so those people become bottlenecks having to, answer all these questions from around their organizations. What Chat EDO does is put that powerful database at the fingertips of users so that you can ask it simple or complex questions and get answers in 15, 30 seconds instead of minutes or hours. And that suddenly unlocks the ability to go from the base of that pyramid of hunting and pecking for the basic needs of my nourishment, of my survival as an agency person or as an insights lead at a brand or a network, and move to much higher order values like how do I optimize for the ROI of my business or my clients.